The Athletic did an interview with former Colorado player Xavier Smith, who said, I was actually getting mad, like tears were coming to my eyes because, bro, you never even tried to get to know me. He was destroying guys' confidence and belief in themselves the way he did it. It could have been done with a little more compassion. To that, Shedeur Sanders, Coach Sanders' son, and the Colorado quarterback says, I don't even remember him, to be honest. Bro had to be very mid at best. Smoke, give me your take on this.
Man, I like this right here, Carl. I'm gonna touch on it for you, real simple. My old man used to tell me, apple trees produce apples. You remember back in the season when
Yeah.
Coach Novell got at Prime a little bit about wearing his glasses, having his hat on, and about respect, and alluded to how he was raised. What did Coach tell you? You just made this personal. And I understand exactly what the family is. That's the same way that I raise my kids. Protect the family name first, last, and always. And all Shedeur is doing is protecting dad's name. So when you look at it, it's like this. Every time that you get a comment or somebody says something about you, Shedeur, it's not worth your time because you're elevating them. Like you said, your teammate was mid. There's no reason to say somebody's mid. Just move on from it. Elevate yourself from it. For the end of the day, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get drafted in the NFL. You're going to be doing handshakes with the commissioner, chest bump. You might as well be a potential franchise quarterback. And when you're a potential franchise quarterback, there's no reason to get into the lower tier argument. You get into the big tier because what you want to see is big picture. And when you're not seeing picture, all your concentration and everything that you're doing is on something else. So I would always tell people, if at the end of the day, if somebody's saying something that you don't like or you don't agree with and they're not worth your conversation, tell them to get in the goofy line. Tell them to move on. I get it. I like this conversation. I like that he's representing his family. But at some point, Carl, you got to leave this one alone and let it be.
Smoke, I've been back and forth over this. I've got a chance to talk to Coach Prime this week as well. I'm gonna be honest with you, in dealing with recruiting the way that I've done in the past, there's no easy way to tell a player that you don't think he's good enough and that it's time to move in from the program. You can interview guys from a number of different schools, whether it be Alabama, whether it be Georgia, whether it be Ohio State, whether it be Notre Dame, guys that are getting asked to move on because they're not going to play. And when you sit down with a player in that situation, there's no easy way for you to say, hey, we don't have plans for you here. We don't have a future for you here at our university. Shedeur is doing what any person would do in that situation. A lot of guys, when you talk about something, you have to remember that's not his coach. That's his dad. And he has to get on the internet and watch day after day after day of people attacking his father. And he typically hasn't responded to anybody that does it that's an adult. But he looked at a former player as one of his peers, and he stepped in and did what guys do to defend their dads. When I think about what has went on at Colorado and the way that it's been covered and how upset people get, especially when you talk about Shedeur, Shiloh, and even Deion Jr. and the presence that he has on social media, on the internet, you have to know this, Smoke. People in general, they hate rich kids. They hate kids that come from means and that people feel like their parents have positioned them. We went through this last year when we rated Arch Manning #1. And although Arch doesn't do any social media and you hardly hear the Mannings on social media, we were bombarded with hate because everybody said he was #1 only because his last name was Manning. And we just saw what he did in the spring game at Texas. You got to think about all of the hate that anybody who says or even suggests that Bronny James can play in the NBA. Everybody hates it. They hate to deal with it. The people that are at home watching this show right now, they hate somebody that comes from a wealthy family that they feel like has been positioned over them unfairly because they have something that they don't. They feel like they're more talented. They feel like they're better. So just by human nature, that's what he did. Coach Prime did not directly say anything derogatory about the kid. He did retweet Lord Jesus comparing to what somebody else had tweeted, but he never made a comment directly about the kid. He's been under scrutiny because of the transfer portal. People hate the way that he's running the transfer portal, but I'm gonna tell you what, I've seen the team in every phase since he's been there. Every move that they have made in the transfer portal, whether it's addition or subtraction, their roster has gotten significantly better. And people think, well, recruits aren't going to want to come there. I can't tell. It seems like they're getting the commitment smoke every day that I look up online. Somebody is committing. And people don't realize how many kids and how many parents call trying to go up there and visit. They made a big deal because they say he wasn't going on in-home visits in people's houses. I don't think people look at that from a realistic standpoint. If you've been anywhere with Prime, and I have, you have to understand that he's not normal. He's not a normal coach. If I took him right now with me anywhere in the country and I put out a tweet and said, Coach Prime is here, and this is where we at, within 5 minutes, it will be thousands of people surrounding him. Traffic would be stopped up the interstate. He is not just a former NFL player that made it to the Hall of Fame. There's lots of guys that are in the Hall of Fame that can walk through the mall and people don't notice them. He is a cultural phenomenon. He is an icon. No matter where you go, he couldn't walk through the mall. He can't walk through stores. That's just who he is. He has the same kind of cachet as Michael Jordan, as a Beyonce, as a Jay-Z, as guys like Prince when they come. So him going in the neighborhoods and going and visiting people's house, you just can't compare it. It's not the same thing. Years ago, when Isaiah Thomas was the basketball coach at FIU, I was with him in Orange Mound in Memphis, Tennessee, outside of Memphis Melrose. And as soon as people found out that the great Isaiah Thomas was there, you could have closed the school down. Those guys are in different situations when it comes to recruiting smoke. And so Prime is going to get covered. Everything is going to be over exaggerated, but the world didn't end and everybody will be back Monday.